I love to play draft in Flesh and Blood, and especially with the set Rosetta, I like to play Verdance in draft. So in this video we will look at draft picks that I did at a local armory this week, last week, pardon, when I picked Verdance as my hero. And this draft wasn't really all that good for me. I made some very bad decisions and I want to review them, talk about it, and especially share them with you guys. So let's jump into the video. So we are jumping right in after I opened the first pack. So this is pick one, pack one. And I have even gone into the draft thinking that I would like to play a Verdance in this draft. But you never know what kind of cards are coming, right? So let's just see. And I had a banger, as you saw, Heartbeat of Candlehold right in the first pack. I didn't really think the other cards were that great. And let me know how you think this playback speed is. We did a first video on another local armory that I did also play a draft in and played Verdance as well. There I had a little bit of different. The video was pretty long, so I thought this time we'll make it much more faster. So let's see what in the second pack is. We have Aether Quickening. I think this is a very powerful card of Wizard in general when playing Rosetta, and I really like it when playing Verdance as well. So we have a Perennial Aether Bloom. Here the red ones, the two. We have Harvest Season in red. I think that is a good Earth card as well to pick. But then we also had Fertile Ground in red. We have Fertile Ground in yellow too. But in this situation, I was really not valuing the Fertile Ground. I was going with the Aether Quickening. I think that was the best card here in the beginning to pick. Usually, I had the experience that other players not really valuing Fertile Ground red as much as I do. So I was hoping that maybe this card comes back later. Sigil of Sanctuary is coming up here. I think that is an okay card, but not. I think there will be better cards here. Sigil of Earth within there, Fruits of the Forest, Trailblazing Aether, and Etchings of Arcana. So two cards that cost 0 and deal 3 arcane damage. That is nice. And we have a Save the Thought. And I think Save the Thought is a pretty interesting card. I talked about this card too in my first video about draft picks for Rosetta when playing Verdance. And I think this card can especially help you when going into the fatigue games. And Save the Thought will most likely not come up that often in your draft. So you may as well pick it in the beginning before the card is gone. Let's see. I am going through the pack again, looking at Fruits of the Forest, but I'm picking the Trailblazing Aether here. So I think that is better than Etchings of Arcana for sure here when thinking about I want to go towards Verdance. So a lot of sigils coming up here. Sigil also a rare card, a Sigil of Temporal Manipulation. I don't think it is as good in Verdance as it can be in Auxilio, so I don't think I would consider this card at this moment here. So going through the pack, I don't think this pack is especially great. I'm thinking about the Sigil, but I pick Fertile Ground, I think, in the end. Let's see. Yeah, pick the Fertile Ground. I have to say, Fertile Ground in blue is a bad card, I think. And it turned out to be bad in this draft pool for me in playing out the games. So I lost all 3 games in this draft, and that's why I think it is so interesting to look at this draft and review the picks and what could have done better in the end here. So there's a red brush off. Photon Splicing, I think I talked about this card too in my first video. I like this card a lot in either color. When I don't have other options, I would highly pick this card because you can discard it as an instant and amp 1, just like the Arcane Twinning, I think is the name. And it also has an upside with dealing a little bit more arcane damage than the Arcane Twinning. It also costs 1 for sure, but I think this is a pretty versatile card in Verdance. We have a strong yield, so not that great packs yet, I think, for going into Verdance, even though, we have a blue Earth card here too, the Strengths of the 4 Seasons. We have a Runaways, but overall, I think taking a blue here, 3 block with the photon splicing wouldn't be that bad. It would be pretty good actually, because we need some blues, right? It doesn't turn on our staff, and I think using the staff as much as possible is a good way to gain advantage in Verdance. We have a Sigil of Yendal here, an Aether Quickening in blue, an Exploding Aether in yellow, and a Vantage Point. And here I make a huge mistake. This is such a beginner mistake, but yeah, I don't know. I just didn't look at the card really, and I wasn't remembering that this is a Runeblade card. So I made a horrible mistake here, and yeah. Knowing I wanted to go in Wizard, I thought Vantage Point is a generic, and I thought that's great when I can, yeah, when I can get the Vantage Point as a generic and get an overpower attack in my deck. Definitely not a good thought here, and I end up taking the Vantage Point and even putting it in my deck in the first game. It was so horrible. But that can sometimes happen in drafts when you are not, yeah, that good of a player, or you're a pretty new player. You're not playing that often like me, and then mistakes can happen. So Etchings of Arcana, another 0 cost 3 arcane damage card here. I think this is a really good pick. Strength of the Four Seasons, a good card to turn on our staff. Get the amp and a potential embodiment of Earth. So yeah, going on the offense side here, taking the Etchings of Arcana. I think in this draft especially, I was having the mentality that I want to have as much 0 for 3 arcane damage cards as possible. There's another 0 for 3 arcane damage and another red Fertile Ground. And I think red Fertile Ground is just so amazing in Verdance, because yeah, she's all about healing when her hero ability is up. And you gain basically 5 life later in the game due to the effect of Fertile Ground, and then dealing 1 arcane damage on your turn. You can use it defensively too, but I really like Fertile Ground here. But I think, if I remember right, I take Perennial Aether Bloom, because I think Perennial Aether Bloom is one of the best 0 for 3 arcane damage cards in the set, because when you deal more than 3 arcane damage, it goes on the bottom of your deck. You can potentially deal another 3 damage later in the game, and you are counter fatiguing. Is that the right term? I think so. Yeah, take the Perennial Aether Bloom, even though I would have loved to take the Fertile Ground. Yeah, the Save the Thought comes around, and I think I'm considering it here again. Let's see. I'm not really having it in my front here, but there it is. Yeah. So now I'm looking at this card, and I think, yeah, this time I take it. I think it's not a bad idea, but I had a red Save the Thought in my first draft pool in the first video. I will link it down below, or maybe even do like a playlist for a Rosetta draft videos on my channel. And I think the red Save the Thought is much, much better. But yellow might be okay if you're going into a fatigue game. But yeah, let me know what you think about Save the Thought for sure. Here, this pack, 2 sigils, yellow Perennial Aether Bloom, 3 sigils actually. I'm looking at the temporal sigil again, but I end up taking the Sigil of Earth, I guess. Yeah. So I think this is not a bad pick in this pack, or in this pick especially, but yeah, it's not overall that good. Strength of the Four Seasons here, like I said, great card to turn on the staff. Take it. But so far, I don't think it's that good of a pool that I'm building already, especially with the Vantage Point mistake. Here's a blue Aether Quickening. Even in blue, I think it is okay to take Aether Quickening, but I think I end up taking another card. Yeah. You have to work with what you get in the draft, right? And you have to make the best out of your worst picks. So I think this was not that good of a pick. I should have picked Aether Quickening here in blue. Because the sigil, even though it blocks for 2, it only gains you 1 life. And you are not really synergizing with sigils that much in Verdance. I mean, you can go into the direction of interacting with sigils, but I don't think they are as good as in other decks. Especially like, Florian with Sigil of Deadwood can be really good, but I don't think that Sigil of Yendel can be potentially that great with Verdance, comparing it to Sigil of Deadwood in Florian. But if it would be an Earth card, maybe it would be better, but then it would basically only be like a Harvest Season blue for free, right? Yeah, Fjendel's Fighting Spirit here in blue, I think that's okay. The yellow Fertile Ground comes around. Yellow, I think this card is okay. It's not perfect, but it's okay. I take it as my last pick for sure. So now we are having time to review the picks. Such a great pick. If I would have drafted better in this draft here, I think Heartbeat of Candle would have been a great card to try out, to build around, but this draft pool doesn't really end up that good. So yeah, I'm not getting the vantage point at this point. I really only get it when playing it out and my opponent saying like, hey, this is a huge mistake. It's not a wizard card. You can't play that one. Ah, dang, that was so terrible. But yeah, overall, a lot of blues, a lot of bad value cards with the sigils, I think. Fertile Ground in blue, pretty bad card. I have a few good red cards, but now we are going into the second pack. Getting Twinkle Toes in Cold Foil here, pretty nice. Now looking what we get, Harvest Season in blue, another Sigil of Earth. Getting a lot of sigils, and there it is, I think, a really good pick, Photon Splicing in red, and then Helm of Lignum Vitae. Cadaverous Tilling here too in yellow, so a lot of good cards to pick from. I think going with the Decompose is the right choice here, because we don't have a Decompose card yet. And if we end up taking the Helm, I end up taking it. I think this is a mistake too, looking at this in retrospective. I think I should have definitely... Yeah, I even consider it when looking at it a second time, but there is a Decompose that gets handed over to me from the left. So either my left draft partner is not going into Earth, or he had an even better Earth card to pick from his first pick here in the second pack. Another red Photon Splicing, definitely the Decompose, yeah, definitely. Let's see, yeah. Let's see what comes up next. Pretty nice playmate here between, right? Our shout out to Arsenal Pass. So let's scroll a little bit forward. Seems like there's a little bit of waiting time here. Other players taking a little bit more time. So there it is. There comes our next pick. Another yellow Fertile Ground. Blue Arcane Twinning. I really like this card in blue because you can pitch it later in the game. When your ability with Verdance is online, you can even amp the Verdance ability with Arcane Twinning, right? So when you're shooting an Arcane damage of your life gain and you discard an Arcane Twinning, then it's 2 Arcane damage off of Verdance ability. And I really like that. There's a red Autumn's Touch. And I have a little bit of a hate-love with these 3 cost 7 attacks here when going into Verdance, because I think it's a much more viable strategy to lean heavily towards arcane damage with Verdance and maybe picking 1 or 2 good physical attacks, but the Decompose attacks are mostly physical attacks. You have this defense reaction, the Rootborn Carapace, but most of the time you will deal physical damage with your Decompose cards, and so I don't want to clog up my deck with a lot of physical heavy cards. I rather want to pick cards that lean towards the arcane damage, amping, life gain maybe, and I don't think Autumn's Touch, it's a 3-block, don't get me wrong, but I think this is also a bad pick here when looking at a strategy that is viable with Verdance. So here's an Arsenal Disruption card, Photon Splicing in blue, another Autumn's Touch, Hand Behind the Pan. I'm looking at it and considering it. I end up in my last game I'm getting crushed by the Arsenal cards, not because of the Arsenal Disruption, but because of the damage that comes with them, because I was playing against Aurora in my last game, and combo after combo, and then an Arsenal Disruption card. I think Pop the Bobble here in this pack is interesting. Pop the Bobble, I think, can be good going into decks that have great auras on board, like Florian. And with not that much of an effort, you can make them want to prevent the Pop the Bobble to not lose their Malefic Incantation, for example. Let's see what I'm taking here. I think Overflow the Aetherwell could be a card too. I don't like this card especially that much in Verdance. But I ended up taking it. Thinking about the strategy with 0 for 3 arcane damage cards. There's another Arsenal Disruption card. Strengths of the Four Seasons. I think this is a card that can be useful. It only blocks 2 though. Keep that in mind. But yeah, there's this Smash Up. I really like this card from the art. And it also destroys the attack action card when it gets revealed from the arsenal, right? So I think that is pretty useful. But when you're playing Aurora, it is much more viable, I think. Also, the red Aether Amp card, I think that would have been a better pick. I mean, this draft is pretty crazy for me, but Yellow Earth Form also, like, it's nice to get the embodiment, right? When you're stalling a little bit. But Exploding Aether here too even could be a pick. Etchings of Arcana even with the 0 for 3 block. And 1 arcane damage. But overall, looking at this bag again, this draft is pretty bad for me. Oh my goodness. And in the beginning, when I pulled the candle out, the Verdance specialization, I was like, man, I need to go towards Verdance. And here again, like a Sigil and Harvest Season in blue. Harvest Season in blue is, it can be good when you are pitching it for the staff. But later in the game, I don't really like the blue Harvest Season that much, even though you can shoot an Arcane of Verdance. Here, the red Photon Splicing, definitely a good pick. Easy. There's the next pick already for me. Let me know what you think about these kind of videos, guys. I really like going over my draft and looking at what I can do better next time myself. But let me know if it helps you or if you want to see something else for draft. I would really like to do draft content for sure. Let's just scroll forward. So there comes the next pick. Arcane Twinning in blue. There's so many Arcane Twinning in blue. Arcane Twinnings in blue. That's amazing. It's just even making me smile when I see the artwork. It's so funny. Yeah. So we are 17 minutes in now. It's a little bit faster than the last time for sure. Hand behind the pan gets handed to me over again and also Pop the Bobble in blue. Considering both, but like I said, after playing 3 drafts with Verdance, I don't really think it's that good of an idea to go heavily towards these physical damage attacks and try to get it as much arcane damage and as much advantage over on the arcane damage side. There's the next pick. Open the Floodgates. In blue, I talked about it in my last draft. I still didn't get like another opinion on it. Maybe you have an opinion on that card, but I think in blue it could be good. I didn't play it out yet though. Definitely doesn't make my deck that much better. Taking another Sigil of Yendal and so many bad value cards here for me. Trailblazing Isra, at least I get handed over a card. But I ended up picking the Hit the High Notes. At least I get an Arcane Twinning. I think taking hit the High Notes in yellow is even a mistake. Yeah, looking over my picks again, it's a mess. There are some good cards, but overall it's a big mess. It's a big mess. At least I got a Decompose, but at this point with Verdance, I only have 1 Decompose cards. The deck is a little bit of a mess. There are some wrong picks even, some bad value cards, a lot of bad value cards actually, and it won't work out that great. I can tell you that. At least I have one equipment, but it doesn't get that much value when I can decompose off of the helm. So now we are coming to the last pack. There comes the last pack. There's a cracked bauble. Maybe I need that. No, I didn't. Another Autumn's Touch. And luckily I get a decompose right off the bat. And there is an Arcane Seeds and another Fruits of the Forest. If I would have been going towards Runeblade, which definitely would have been possible, this card would have been so great. It's such a powerhouse in Florian. But I need to take the decompose. No regrets here. Count your blessings. So, shuffling the pack and soon we will see what the next pick is. Let's see. Yeah, I'm looking for the Verdance token. So there comes the second pick, Etchings of Arcana. And I was so lucky. Getting handed over another red decompose, Cadaverous Tilling. Well grounded, but at this point I need the decompose. Even though the well grounded would have been perfect, but I don't have enough decompose. And like it's not likely that I will get another one. It's not very likely. I end up taking the well-grounded, like it's crazy. Just looking back at this draft, this is crazy how bad my picks are. Oh my goodness. Another Count Your Blessings, Fruits of the Forest. The Incline Cloak, actually pretty interesting. I end up playing it in this draft. And I have some sigils, so I'm considering it here. And I can gain another resource off of it. But again, it's a bad play to play out a sigil of Yendal, just getting the pop of the Incline Cloak here. I don't end up taking it yet, but later on. Root-bound Carapace, another decompose. I'm so lucky, guys, getting this here. I'm so lucky getting this another decompose. It just shows you like how it can go sometimes. But yeah. Another decompose, and that is just such a huge signal that there's not that much earth running around on the table. I don't have in mind like how many Verdants there was. I'm not how many Florians. I think 2 Florians at least. Another Photon Splicing, but overall, like looking at this bag, it's a mess. Yeah, let's just scroll forward. So another melt card, and there it is. And Red Aether Quickening, if I end up taking the Wizard chest, like I'm flipping. Even this Pulsing Aether and Life is such a great card. I think I end up taking that one, right? Yeah, I'm taking it back. Yeah, I'm taking it. It's a hard pack. It would have been cool to take the Aether Quickening too, but yeah. Even though I had so many bad decisions, good cards getting into my deck now, can be like that sometimes in the draft, right? Oh my goodness. Arcane Twinning, Fruits of the Forest, another Count Your Blessings. I think it's the same even from the pack, right? I don't have a single Fruits of the Forest here. It's crazy looking at this bag. And even comparing that to my first draft pick video where I picked so many Fruits of the Forest, I definitely need to try out different strategies and see how it goes. And I can tell you, like, this draft didn't go well at all. And my other draft was nearly perfect. It was so good. Etchings of Arcana here gets passed to me again. Exploding Aether. I could have even had 2 red Exploding Aether in this draft. It's crazy. Wouldn't be that bad, honestly. Having that many 0 for 3 arcane damage cards. So there's the time. I look at Chorus of the Amphitheater here. And the difference is just that for me as Verdance, I don't really do that many multiple arcane damage turns, right? In the early game. So if I get this early in the game, I need to pitch it and then utilize it later. But even when reading Verdance, I was thinking that in the draft, what I just told you, but then reading Verdance and learning about it, Chorus of the Amphitheater is not working with Verdance ability, so it's basically a bad pick here. I mean, it's okay, it's like an amp, right? But yeah, it's not that great. There's another 0 for 3. I think that is a much better pick, but I think I end up taking the Chorus of the Amphitheater here. Yeah. And the Incline Cloak still running around. I think that's maybe the last card that I'm getting. Another 0 for 3. I could have gotten so many arcane damage cards throughout this draft. And together with the Exploding Aether, it would have been pretty good. But only shooting 0 for 3 every turn and not pitching to the staff. I think that was also a mistake that I did during... Yeah, and I think that's even... It's not allowed when you're playing at like callings and stuff, taking a card back, but I think at local armories it's not a problem at all. Photon splicing. I'm not really sure, like, why am I... Perennia Aether was definitely the best pick here, looking at it now. I can just shake my head, guys. Oh my goodness. Another photon splicing. Pop the bauble, like I said, it can be good, but I'm not really considering it. I'm okay. Just shows how confused I am in this draft. And I think that's the beauty of draft too, right? You have in constructed, you have to know every matchup, and in draft you have to know every combination that can be good with together and how the possibilities are of getting certain cards and not getting certain cards. But yeah. Yeah, here I'm just making sure I understand the Incline Cloak right. Now I'm taking it because of that, and there's a red Open the Floodgates. And red, why not? But I think actually I end up taking the Count Your Blessings. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah. There is a yellow Open the Floodgates even. So now let's go over it again. I think I'm sorting it first. I think I have 4 Decompose cards. I wouldn't really have expected that. I even have good equipment to go with that. I have a good split card that deals 4 arcane damage and gives me 1 life, so potentially shooting for 5. I think that's great. Yeah, just taking tokens here. And I think from looking at the length of this video, I'm even showing like how... So now I'm just sorting. Yeah, and then I think I even pick the 30 cards that I take into the deck. So I'm just sorting. And I think, yeah, that was it, right? We have 2 1 for 4 arcane damage cards. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, okay. 2 Florian, 2 Verdant, 2 Aurora. So it's an even split. We just talked about it. I have a helm, so great equipment, well grounded. And I mean, you don't need to. That's I think a point here for me looking at this bag. I don't have to pick every card that I picked in the draft into my deck, right? So I can just leave some bad cards out. But I have that many bad cards, so I need to take some really bad value cards like the Sigil of Yendals, and then it's a train wreck. But it is, looking at this bag, this could have been much better. Just taking out the equipment, so I have full equipment suite. That's kind of nice. That's kind of neat, actually. So now we were 6 people in the draft. So 2 Florian, 2 Aurora, 1 Auxilio, and 1 Verdance. Yeah, so I was basically the only Verdance in the draft pool. Yeah, and the Florian that ended up being the best one from our pool is just saying, shout out to Jakob, that he was passing just all of the good lightning cards, and he was hoping that people are catching on to it, and it worked out. So he got like 6 or 7 Fruits of the Forest and 5 or 6 Decompose cards. Yeah, so now I think I'm cutting the blue ones. Like I said, Fertile Ground, Sigil of Yendal, Harvest Season in blue, all these bad cards. And it's funny looking back at it and knowing the packs that I picked some of these cards at and what have could been in the deck. It could have turned out well different. Pop the Bobble didn't came up. In theory, I think it's good, but yeah. Then the Vantage Point, even not realizing at this point, it's so crazy. Reading the card really helps. Let's just scroll a little bit forward here. So we have 3 1/4 arcane damage, including the Melt card. We have, let's count again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I think even there was, I need to go back. Sorry for this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0 for 3s. 4 Decompose cards, 2 Earth attacks that are pretty good on the offense. I think that's okay, having like 2. And then just picking the worst out of the best out of the worst, sorry. Yeah. Okay, guys, I think we can round the video up here actually. Definitely let me know in the comments if this kind of video helps you. I would love to do more of these, make them maybe in a different way to make them more enjoyable or more educational. And like the video. It would definitely make me smile and help the algorithm. Let it watch other people that didn't know about the video yet. And we see us in the next video, guys.